On Thursday, Showmax subscribers woke up to the shocking news that the streaming service would be discontinued in the near future. The statement says the decision followed a comprehensive review and aims to focus on strengthening its digital offering to ensure long-term sustainability. Now, the decision comes after French company Canal Plus took over MultiChoice in a $2 billion deal last September. So while many are disappointed, mentioning its freshly local and Africa-focused catalogue, others have highlighted that the streaming service was in fact making an annual financial loss through subscriptions. Let's look at the impact that this might have on the film and television industry with the South African Guild of Actors chairperson Jack Devnarain and film and television executive producer at Black Brain Pictures, Mandla N, joining us this morning to weigh in. First and foremost, good morning, gentlemen, and thank you so much for your time.
Morning. It's always good to be here.
Thank you. It's always good having you. Your immediate reaction to the news. Let's start with you, Mandla.
Definitely shock and just trying to piece things together in terms of what's going to happen to the content that's already there and the IP that resides within that space, especially when a big conglomerate like Canal Plus comes in. What happens to obviously the local market, the local production? Are they going to be commissioning as much as Showmax was and Mzansi Magic was? So those are the questions right now.
Do we have any answers to those questions, Jack?
No, we don't. And I think the thing we need to consider is whether Canal Plus owes us those answers in the first place. And obviously we're concerned as very loyal viewers, and subscribers. We want to try and keep things the same, and we maybe get stuck in that. But the reality of the industry, and certainly the global industry, is that there are changes. And South Africa has to get used to change in the same way that Canal Plus came in and took over one of the big South African brands in MultiChoice. We have to get used to new branding, new offerings, new services, new subscription platforms. And we have to try and establish whether our interests as content creators, as a producer, as Mandla is, and as actors, we got to try and make sure that our concerns and needs are being catered for as well, to the extent that they can.
Right. So as a content creator, Mandla, what are your needs, and how do you think, or how will this impact you as a filmmaker?
Sustainability, within the business, and also another big thing, what type of content will they be commissioning? Is it now going to be a global play? Does it mean we need to sanitize some of our content, some of our culture, some of our things for a global market? Or are they still focusing on the local market? So there's a lot of just questions in the air in terms of, where we are basically placing it. Also as well, is the head office now in France, or is it still residing within the South African office? And we've seen that with BET. I mean, last year they left the country, you know what I mean? And without any warning or anything like that, so it's just uncertainty within the local market.
To what extent, Jack, do you think that the poor regulation or lack of regulation of the industry has much to do with what is happening currently, especially with platforms like Showmax? It
has everything to do with it. And in fact, we need to be reminded that South Africa has been marketed globally as an unregulated industry. So when international productions are coming into South Africa, they like the fact that they don't have to comply with any domestic rules. They don't have to comply with any stipulations or conditions that are imposed by the industry upon itself. And this is why, when we are concerned about what will Canal Plus do, why are they not giving us any answers, it's the fact that we haven't created any of those conditions coming in. And we should take full responsibility for this. In fact, many broadcasters and producers know full well that they have been the single biggest obstacles to regulation in this industry from the very beginning. And now when we are starting to get concerned about, how do we regulate streamers, for example, we are the ones who have to answer our own question, because we were the ones who are fighting against regulation for so many decades.
Do you think, Mandla, that this move could perhaps be beneficial to content providers? And if so, what would be the ideal situation?
I think, the uncertainty right now, of a lot of producers and also the market and everything is pretty much everywhere. But I feel it's a huge opportunity for us as producers, as actors, to basically come together to know where we stand as well, you know. And also another big thing is if you look at our local, you know, the SABCs of the world and things like that, it's a huge chance for them, because right now we don't know what's happening within the streaming platform. So they could regroup and make sure that they commission more content, you know, within the South African market.
Right.
But right now, you know, I think as actors and producers, we need to basically come together so that we can, you know, express what we want as an industry. Because right now, we don't really have a voice. We're just basically sitting back and going, okay, seeing what Netflix is doing within South Africa, now Canal Plus, and all sorts of things, and we're just spectators. So it just gives us a chance to regroup, come together, and just take part in the dialogue.
I like that you mentioned Netflix, because I was specifically asking that question, looking at what Netflix has done for, I mean, filmmakers like yourself and many others as well. So, I mean, moving forward, Jack, you know, let's talk about what kind of policy changes or industry reforms are needed to protect the film and television industry, essentially.
We need to be adaptable. So whatever policy or regulatory frameworks we create, it needs to account for the evolution of technology and the way in which people consume and create content. For example, people are moving away from streaming platforms now. There are fewer subscribers that are interested in what's being offered globally. You actually have the rise now of what we call verticals, which is a whole different medium. So when you look at our regulatory systems, which are practically non-existent, we need to build them to be robust and adaptable enough so that as our industry continues to change and move within the global space, we are creating opportunities, but we are also preventing the unfair exploitation of intellectual property rights and people's creative work.
Now, Mandla, do you think that the public broadcaster, as a parastatal, perhaps has a responsibility to absolve a lot of the African content that doesn't have a home, or will soon not, possibly soon not have a home?
It has a huge responsibility, because obviously, you know, it's the local broadcaster that is in the forefront of growth of young filmmakers. Because if you look at all these, you know, the companies that are coming within South Africa, you know, they don't have a mandate, you know, to develop or anything like that. They're taking the guys that have been making content that, and also, I mean, we've seen the biggest play. It's about costs. It's about bringing down the costs. It's not really, for now, we haven't seen the development plans or anything like that within the local market. So that's why we need your SABCs, your ETVs to basically grow development.
Oh, gentlemen, thank you so much for waking up with us this morning for a very important conversation. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.